being a dynamic economic hub and center for technology and innovation. There is no doubt that the Philippine economy has sustained us or the recovery and has been resilient in the face of global challenges. And we and our partners remain confident that the Philippines is well established and positioned for sustained growth, and we anticipate further progress in the months ahead. All of this is made possible thanks to the vision and the leadership of our dear president. With that, let me introduce, or I have this distinct honor to introduce Excellency President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.
Thank you, Ambassador Romualdez, for your kind introduction. Gentlemen, distinguished guests, and as the ambassador has pointed out, some of our uh, constant friends, I use that word to avoid using the word old friends. So, our constant friends and our new friends who are here with us this morning, good morning to you all. It is a pleasure for me to close another successful Philippine economic, this time here in San Francisco, home to the biggest, most innovative, and future ready companies in the world. This marks our 12th international PEB and it's the fourth one in the United States. Since the beginning of this administration in 2022, the Philippine economic briefings have been a platform for the economic team to showcase what makes the Philippines one of the best places to today. By bringing conversations on the country's macroeconomic fundamentals, policy roadmap, and investment opportunities closer to the international business community, we aim to reintroduce the Philippines and jumpstart meaningful, concrete, and mutually beneficial partnerships that will drive growth in the 21st century economy. Equally important, is deliberate and proactive to generate feedback from our investor stakeholders. We consider these suggestions from our partners as vital in our efforts to shape our policies and programs to support economic transformation and recovery. Over the past year, we embarked on a journey towards economic transformation grounded on sound macroeconomic fundamentals, a favorable business management. In an uncertain global environment beset by slower growth, supply chain disruptions, and geopolitical tensions, the Philippines has continued to rise out of the tide. In 2022, the Philippines registered its highest full year GDP growth in nearly 5 decades. Just last week, we announced that the Philippine economy grew strongly by 5.9% in the third quarter of 5.5 amongst major economies in Asia, outpacing Vietnam, Indonesia, China, and Malaysia. We are confident that the country posts a full year economic growth that is close to the 6 to 7% target for 2023. Major international financial institutions and think tanks, including the World Bank, the International Monetary Fund, ASEAN Plus 3 Macroeconomic Research Office, agree. They project the Philippines here. In fact, Fitch rating recently affirmed Philippines gradual fiscal consolidation, reductions in government debt to GDP ratio, and a comfortable external position supported by sound economic policies and robust economic reforms. Labor market conditions remain strong. Consistently low levels of unemployment and improving quality of employment and underemployment that has been lessened and employment that has been generated. Inflation is slowly coming down. the October 2023 inflation slowed down to 4.9% from 6%. We are committed to arresting inflation and maintaining overall price stability through supply side interventions and demand side management to promote high value investments. Commitment to purposeful reforms are also an enduring feature of Philippine economic policy and amendments that we have made to the Public Service Act, to the Foreign Investments Act, the Retail Trade Liberalization, and the Renewable Energy Act. We expect an influx of highly desirable investments in strategic sectors of the economy. We have also reformed the Philippines' fiscal incentive structure through the Corporate Recovery and Tax Incentives for Enterprise to attract domestic and global firms to invest in strategically important sectors. Investments in rural areas and highly advanced technology and technology-enabled projects and activities, and consequently greater and longer incentives. Investments in the digital space are also highly prioritized. Incentives are given to projects covering research and development and those adopting advanced digital production technologies such as, for example, artificial intelligence, additive manufacturing, data analytics, cloud computing, and nanotechnology. These are by responsive refinements in policies that promote private sector participation in key sectors, even as we pursue legislative measures. We rapidly reformed the country's public-private partnership framework to simplify the approval processes, ensure the viability and bankability of PPP projects, to cut the red tape, and pave the way for quality infrastructure development. These reforms support the Philippines' massive infrastructure drive. We are prioritizing the implementation of 197 infrastructure flagship projects worth around $155 billion with a sharp focus upgrading physical and digital connectivity, water, agriculture, health, transport, and energy. In addition, we look forward to the operation of the Maharashtra Fund. It will serve for all government, including flagship. These projects offer high rates of return and significant socio-economic impact. Currently, we have identified about 80 potential infrastructure projects that are financeable through that fund, the Maharlika Investment Fund. With a solid reform and growth amid headwinds, the Philippines is ready to take off as a leading investment hub in Asia. A wealth of opportunity awaits you in the Philippines, and we are ready to explore new coming years.
President of the Republic, Ferdinand Romualdez Marcos Jr. Mr. President, may we have the honor of keeping you on stage as this San Francisco crowd is very eager to have a conversation with you. Thank you very much, Excellency. Ladies and gentlemen, another warm round of applause for the President of the Philippines. And this conversation, please have your seats. And this conversation is going to be led by none other than the U.S. the President of the U.S. ASEAN Business Council, Ambassador Ted Osius. May we call you back on stage, sir? And now we will have a conversation with the President.
Mr. President, it is a great honor Thank you for coming back to the United States. In, I guess, the past 14 months, you've gone to the UN General Assembly. You had your official visit to Washington. You're back here for the APEC summit. And Mr. President, you were incredibly kind and welcoming and hospitable to our business delegation last summer. Thank you. It really is, it's an honor to meet you, sir.
Good morning. Thank you very much, Mr. One of our constant friends in the Philippines.
Thank you, sir. My first tour was in the Philippines in 1989. I have loved your country ever since. I think I speak on behalf of all of us when the United States welcomes the strengthened alliance that you've created with the United States. And the private sector is very eager to follow up on the comments that you've made about how to unlock economic best to create partnerships in the Philippines. So with your permission, I'll jump right into a few questions. Your remarks were very inspiring. You spoke about bringing down inflation. You spoke about your country's macroeconomic performance. But there are uncertainties in the global economy. So given those uncertainties, what measures do you think are the most important that are in place so that the Philippine economy remains resilient?
Well, I think the most important thing to realize is that we have to transform the economy. And it is not so much the recovery. And I think probably others have heard me say this before, but I don't view what we are trying to do as recovering. Recovering to what? Because I do not think that 2020 economy, technology, and also to be able to face the challenges such as climate change, which unfortunately the Philippines is very vulnerable to. So these are the new issues that we must face. And then the shall we say more expected issues that come about with the tech, with the digital era coming into our workplaces, into our homes, into basically everything we do. And that presents great opportunities, in my view. The digital space is still very much open, and I think there are very grand opportunities for the Philippines in that regard. To begin with, the Philippines, we have to get to a point where we are able to say that we well in this the majority, the large majority of the population is has access to the internet, and that our systems are structured to make that access to the internet something of value, in that we will be able to do ordinary people no longer have to trek all the way to these regional offices that are very far away, take a good deal of time, and go through uh, the process getting permits and such. With all online. Well, the banking has led the way in in this regard. That the private sector has led the way, but the government still has to play a very important part in especially terms and things like cybersecurity. So these are the areas that we see. But the nuts and bolts of the economy still come down to infrastructure, the infrastructure development. And I talk about when we talk about infrastructure now, it's no longer just physical infrastructure; it includes digital infrastructure, and that is where we have really put a great deal of emphasis on. And it is the other side, the other and another sector that's a very great that needs a good deal of focus is energy. Um, Water supply. And the overall really still here. All of those I spoke about just now, any discussion within that sector of development within that sector always ends up including climate change. that seems to be the uh, the, the basis on which we have to act for the future, on which we have to design our systems, and we have to keep climate change in mind. The Philippines has it very much as a top of mind issue simply because we have been to have uh, the dubious distinction of being one of the most vulnerable countries when it comes to the effects of climate change. And so that will inform everything the efforts. Those are the we have to be looking at. And as an answer to that is one of the central principles that we have adopted is very simple, is that we see um, the government and the private sector very much in partnership. I cannot see how the government can do this by themselves. I do not see how the private sector can do it by themselves. It has to be a and the part every resource to try and bring a possible transformation that I speak about.
Thank you, Mr. President. Those partnerships, thank you. Those partnerships with the private sector are incredibly important, including in the area that you just emphasized, infrastructure, investment in infrastructure. And we've heard a lot about build better more and importance that your government places in investing in connectivity, digital connectivity, and infrastructure. Can you tell us a little bit about how these investments may improve the lives of ordinary Filipinos?
Well, in our case, when we talk, we definitely foreign investment, public spending only goes so far, and certainly there is a very clear delineation about what government really has as a responsibility and is designed to do, such as public service. And there is what the private sector is designed to do. We see the complementarities that we are trying to adopt and trying to encourage. So uh, the the opening of areas, for example, uh, just talk to suddenly, as opposed to yesterday, have connectivity and are able to go on the internet. The immediate improvement in all areas, in terms of the efficiency of the local government, in terms of the currency of the lessons that are being taught to children in school, in terms of the convenience of transactions being done over the internet, immediately increases the productivity of a person. And that's really what we look to when we look to successful economies that have had to pick themselves up after war, for example. And the COVID was a kind of a war, so we have to pick ourselves up from that. It is productivity, it's an increase in productivity. And that's what we are trying to achieve. Infrastructure, the physical infrastructure, a better, a more efficient transport system, a cheaper transport system, all of this will increase the productivity of every single Filipino worker. And again, that is, I think, at the end of it all, the jobs will come, the investment will come, the growth will come if we if we do all that we can to increase the productivity of every single Filipino.
From Batanes to Tawi-Tawi, throughout the nation. Thank you, President. We're in San Francisco. Later meet the Indo-Pacific. If I may just ask you about trade. what steps are you doing to diversify the Philippines' trading partners and plans to facilitate international partnerships and collaborations that could benefit local businesses in the Philippines?
Well, there are many there's opportunities every time ever since the travel, for example, and the transport systems were opened up after COVID. That's sort of subsided. We can see that there's still a great shortfall in terms of that kind of physical connectivity. And that's why ASEAN has taken a very strong position and say that we have to increase our physical connectivity in the ASEAN. Very, very much one of the economies was in ASEAN. If we are to regain that position, then that connectivity and the supply chains must be. So for our part, that's what we are doing, and that brings us now beyond just the pure economic considerations, because now there are political and diplomatic considerations, because these partnerships are now essential. The economy is, well, I know we've heard it many times, but I think today we can absolutely, without fear of contradiction, we can absolutely say that the economy is truly global. And so we must again view all that we do in that context, and that's why these kinds of conferences, these kinds of summits, these kinds of groups that have come together, so important. Partnerships that we make, the alliances that we make, both political, diplomatic, economic, are going to be the, shall we say, stabilizer in these very uncertain times.
Thanks to your leadership, President. And I've been told that I must wrap it up. I want to ask you more questions. Marami.
Thank you very much, the President of the Republic of the Philippines. Thank you, Mr. Ambassador Osius. And Mr. President, I am for the third time we are seen on stage. I would just like to take this opportunity. They have receiving different instructions. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the Republic of the Philippines. We very much enjoyed the chat. That is the President of the Republic of the Philippines ushering in the economic transformation for sustainability and inclusivity agenda for prosperity. And that concludes our Philippine
Maraming sa team ng Department of Foreign Affairs sa parang naaalala ko yung mga kampanya, parang hindi parang kahapon lamang na maganyan ang mga isinisigaw namin. Alam niyo po, ang sigaw ninyo dito sa kahit na nasa San Francisco kayo, naririnig sa Pilipinas kaya tumalakas ang loob namin. Maraming salamat sa inyo. Hindi po ako hindi po ako makapagsimula na hindi magpasalamat sa suportang binigay ninyo sa amin nung nakarang halalan. At na natin mga magkaisa at sabay-sabay. Tayo ay pare-pareho ang tinutunguan natin at sabay-sabay tayong nagtatrabaho at nagtutulungan para maging mapayapa, para maging matagumpay ang ating mga kapwa Pilipino at ang ating minamahal na Pilipinas. Kaya't maraming salamat uli. At ang ibabawi ko po sa inyo, ang isusukli ko na lang sa inyo, ay lahat po. Tama po kayo dyan. Ang OFW ng Pilipinas napakalaking bahagi ngayon ng aming mga pinaplano. Dahil sa lahat ng kahirapan na dinaanan ng Pilipinas, pagka nagkakaroon ng financial crisis na ganyang klase nung nangyari na ilang taon, ay umaasa ang Pilipinas sa mga dala ng OFW at kayo ang bumubuhay sa ekonomiya ng Pilipinas kapag tayo hindi hirap. Kaya naman, halaga na sa inyo lahat, ipapakilala ko po at nakita po ninyo, ito siguro isa sa pinakamalaking delegasyon na aming nadala para sa itong mga conference na ating ginagawa. Dahil napaka-importante napaka-importante nito. Marami po tayong mga kailangang pag-usapan sa ating mga kaibigan, hindi lamang dito sa Amerika, kung hindi sa iba't ibang bansa. At hindi lamang tungkol sa ekonomiya, hindi lang tungkol sa negosyo, tungkol sa investment, hindi pati na sa mga nangyayari na tinatamaan din tayo, nararamdaman at ito po tayong mga ito po ay mahalaga na makausap ng mga kasamahan ng mga kaalyado na bansa na tumutulong sa atin. At kaya naman po sa ekonomiya ng investment naman ay lahat ng maaari nating matupad sa ating mga gustong gawin sa Pilipinas ay matutulungan tayo at maipapatibay natin ang ating mga pagkakaibigan at pagsasama sa iba't ibang bansa. Andito po ang ating Speaker ng House, ang ating Secretary Ben Jokno. Ay Pilipinas at napakaganda ng mga Pilipino at masarap kasama. Kaya sa palagay ko ay ito'y higing malaking industriya para sa atin at maraming natutulungan, maraming mabibigyan ng trabaho. Andito po ang ating Tourism Secretary, Secretary Cristina Frasco. Isa pa sa ating mga economic manager, ang ating kalihim ng Department of Trade and Industry, Department Secretary, Secretary Fred Pascual. Ang ating isa sa pinaka-importante ngayon na ating ginagawa ay inaayos po natin ang tinatawag na energy sector. Kasi dahil siyempre kailangan natin gawan ng paraan para maging sapat ang supply natin ng kuryente at maibigay naman natin, sinusubukan natin ibaba ang presyo ng kuryente. Ngayon medyo nahihirapan tayo dahil palipat-lipat ang presyo ng langis. Ngunit ito po ay ating ginagawa na paraan dahil hindi lamang sa dinadagdagan natin ang supply ng kuryente, kung hindi tayo ay dahan-dahang lumilipat, yung tinatawag na transformation from fossil fuels to renewables. Para naman yung climate change, meron tayong ginagawa. Ang namumuno po dyan, ang nauuna po dyan sa ating ginagawa sa energy, ang ating Energy Secretary, Secretary Popo Lutiliac. Isa pang napaka-importante para sa pagdaloy ng mga serbisyo, ng mga kagamitan ay ang ating transportation system sa Pilipinas. Malaki po ang ating ginagawa diyan at pinalalawak natin ang sistema natin ng transportation at ang namumuno ng ating transportation, ang ating Department of Transportation, Secretary Jamie Bautista. Isa sa pinakamalaking pag-uusapan dito sa APEC na ito, dito sa magiging conference at summit na gagawin simula bukas, ay ang digitalization. At alam niyo, nandito kayo sa California, kabisadong-kabisado ninyo yan. Alam niyo kung gaano kahalaga ngayon, lalo na sa panahon ngayon, na ma-digitalize natin ang ating pamahalaan para maging mas mabilis ang takbo ng trabaho, magiging mas madali para sa bawat Pilipino ang mga kailangan gawin, ang pagbayad ng buwis, ang pagtanggap ng sweldo, lahat ito ay pati yung mga application, mga certification, mga authority ay nais namin gawin na talagang digitalized na para yung ating mga kababayan ay hindi na kailangan pumunta pa sa malayo sa opisina. Kung hindi, nasa computer na lang sila at magagawa, nasa telepono, kaya na nilang gawin. At ang gumagawa po dyan ay ang Department of Information and Communications Technology, ang secretary po natin, Secretary Ivan Uy. Ito po ang susunod naman, ang kanyang trabaho po ay ina-analyze ang ating ekonomiya at pinapayuhan po tayo kung paano para mas pagandahin at kung ano ang mga nagiging problemang nakikita at nagbibigay ng mga solusyon doon sa mga problema na ating hinaharap. Dahil po mahirap na po ngayon, ang COVID pinaltan po lahat. Wala na tayong ginagawa noong 2019 na ginagawa natin pangkaraniwang pang-araw-araw natin ginagawa. Hindi na natin ginagawa ngayon yan. At iba na ang buhay talaga ngayon, 2023. Kaya kailangan tayo rin ay makapagsabay at transform din ang we are trying to transform our economy to adjust to the new global post-pandemic economy, kung tawagin. At ang ating mga nagpaplano, ang ating mga nag-analyze, ang ating mga scientifico talaga tungkol sa economics ay ang NEDA, ang National Economic Development Authority, at ang namumuno dyan
ay si Secretary Arce Balisacan. Please, Amina. Amina. Ito po yung pinaka ah, sa amin para yung pinaka-importante dahil dito po nanggagaling ang aming lahat ng pondo po namin. At kaya makita mo ito naiba ito kasi kahit anong problema ang ibigay mo sa kanya, nakangiti pa rin. Kaya para siya she is like everybody's little sister in the cabinet. Our Department of Budget and Management Secretary Amina Pangandaman. Andito rin po ang ating kasamahan na special assistant po sa Pangulo na tumutulong sa atin yung ating pang-araw-araw na patakbo ng pamahalaan. Nandiyan yata po si Secretary Anton. There he is. Ang isa pang tumutulong para ayusin ang ating ekonomiya ay yung aking representative sa lahat ng economic team at siya ang nagmo-monitor at tinitignan kung ano ba para pabilisan dahil alam niyo po lagi tayo nagmamadali. Pagka masyadong matagal, dalian ninyo, bilisan ninyo. At ang tigahabol po sa schedule ng mga ating ginagawa ay yung Presidential Advisor on Investment and Economic Affairs, Secretary Dec Go. At hindi po natin makakalimutan ang matagal na nating naging ambassador dito sa United States. At nung nakaraan pa, nung panahon pa ni Pangulong Duterte, siya na ang itinalaga bilang ambassador to the United States. Nung ako'y nag-take oath, ako'y umupo na bilang Pangulo, sabi ko, napakaganda ng trabaho mo, kaya dyan ka na muna sa Amerika. Gusto na niyang umuwi. Pero sabi ko, you are the victim of your own success. Kaya dito ka muna sa San Francisco, dito ka na muna sa Washington, dito ka na muna. At ituloy mo pag-represent sa Pilipinas ang ating ambassador, Ambassador Babe Romualdez. At ang ating Consul General dito sa San Francisco at maraming salamat sa kanyang napakagandang pagsalita kanina, ang ating Consul General sa San Francisco, Nel Ferrer. Mukhang magandang trabaho at malakas ang palakpak. At hindi ko naman pwedeng tapusin ang ating pagpakilala na hindi ko ipapakilala ang ating First Lady Risa Araneta Marcos. Ating mga kasamahan sa pamahalaan, the private sector partners na kasama natin dahil po marami po sa mga negosyante, siyempre interesado sila para makapunta rito, para makita kung ano yung pwede nilang dalhin na investment at nandito po sila para tulungan tayo dahil ang trato po namin sa kanila ay hindi lamang private sector kundi partner talaga sa development. So at ang ating siyempre bukod sa lahat ang ating mga minamahal na kababayan na Pilipino. Magandang gabi po sa inyong lahat. Na imbag nga rabi. Maraming salamat. Thank you once again for the very warm welcome that you have given to me and my official family, the entire Philippine delegation to San Francisco. I am here upon the invitation of the President Joe Biden to participate in the 2023 APEC Economic Leaders Meeting. But before I meet the leader of the world's largest and most important economic region, I thought that I should first meet with our kababayans here in the Bay Area. At balita ko, meron pa raw dumating na ating mga kababayan na nanggaling mula pa Nevada, as far from Alaska. Northern Nevada. Malayong yung meron pa daw nandito galing sa Alaska. Aba, sa Washington State. Uh, aba, puro basta lahat yung buong West Coast, representative na dito. Oregon, meron pa rin tayong mga kasamahan galing sa Oregon. Kumusta po kayo? At para sana naman naging maayos ang inyong pagbiyahe rito at maraming salamat at nakahanap kayo ng oras upang para makapiling namin kayong lahat. I'm very grateful for I will thank you for the overwhelming vote of confidence that you gave me and Vice President Inday Sara Duterte in the last election. You delivered the Marcos Duterte tandem while setting the highest voter turnout in absolute numbers in the entire Americas region. Sa inyong nag-uumapaw na pagtitiwala at pagmamahal, maraming salamat po. Ngayon, dahil hindi kami makapunta rito, dahil nung panahon na COVID pa, hindi pa masyado makapagbiyahe, hindi kami nakaapak dito sa San Francisco nung panahon ng kampanya. So allow us to relive the election experience through this small event this evening. I am both honored and humbled to follow the footsteps of my late father, President Ferdinand Edralin Marcos, who first visited San Francisco in 1966, first year of his presidential administration. My father considered San Francisco as an important city, not only because it is home to a very significant Filipino population, but also because this city has always been the historical, cultural, and economic link of the Philippines to the continental United States. It is for this reason that in 1974, during my father's time, the Philippine government purchased a set of buildings off Union Square in downtown area, now known as the Philippine Center in San Francisco. Our permanent presence in San Francisco shows our commitment to the Philippines' long-standing ties with the Bay Area, the Silicon Valley, and California as a whole, and the surrounding states. There are now more than 4 million Filipinos and Filipino Americans in the US, of which 1.3 reside in the jurisdiction of the Consul General of San Francisco. Out of that figure, around 700,000 of our kababayans live and work here in the Bay Area. 436 years now, well, since the first recorded arrival and presence of Filipinos, the so-called Luzones Indios or Luzon natives. Marami doon, Ilocano pa. At nasa ugali talaga namin na hinahanap kahit saan pupunta nagtrabaho. Pero nasa simula, sa Hawaii, marami sa amin ang nailipat dito para magtrabaho. Mula noon, sunod-sunod na lahat na ng Pilipino, palagay ko lahat ng probinsya ng buong Pilipinas ay represented dito sa Amerika. The Filipinos that is why Filipinos and Filipino Americans can be found in various sectors of American economy, society, and media, as well as politics and government. Filipino Americans have emerged successful in elections across many Bay Area cities, including South San Francisco, the host city for our gathering this evening, led by the PhilAm Mayor Flor Nicolas, who is with us tonight. We also have elected officials, Filipino American elected officials in Alaska, in Washington State. Of course, we take pride in the accomplishments of Filipino Americans in statewide elected positions, including Utah Attorney General Sean Reyes and the Bay Area's very own California Attorney General Rob Bonta. Dahan-dahan talaga nararamdaman natin ang Filipino community sa lahat, in all walks of life, It has always been, you can always find, ang biro nga, lahat ng makausap ko ng mga leader, mga pangulo, mga prime minister, lagi nilang sinasabi, kahit saan kami pumunta, meron kaming nakikitang Pilipino. Yun ang hinahanap namin dahil silang magaling magtrabaho, dahil silang masisipag, sila ang maaasahan. Sila ang mga hari at reyna ng overtime. Kaya naman ang napakaganda po ng reputasyon dahil sa inyo. Dahil sa inyo, napakaganda ng reputasyon ng Pilipinas, ng Pilipino. Na tayong lahat ay basta't nasasabi, magdadala, naghahanap sila ng at every level, kahit na unskilled labor, skilled labor, professional, lahat, at every level, hinahanap nila Pilipino. Dahil nga, may kilalang kilala na tayo na ang mga Pilipino ay maaasahan at matulungin kahit na hindi kasama sa trabaho, nagtutulungan at napakasipag at hindi mapagkatiwalaan. And that's one of the most important things that people say. Ngayon, ang nangyari pa, during COVID-19, Americans experienced firsthand the Filipino way of caring and acting on the needs of others. 1 in every 5 nurses here in the West Coast are trained in the Philippines. Our Filipino nurses, our doctors, our first responders, essential workers have all demonstrated the timeless Filipino virtues of malasakit, pakikipagkapwa, at ang bayanihan. We are all grateful for your selfless service to humanity, and we look up to you as role models for future generations of Filipinos and Filipino Americans. Dahil sa inyo, napakasarap at napakadali at napakatotoo na maisigaw, proud to be a Pinoy. We recognize the hard work of overseas Filipinos in the U.S. In 2022, the health workers in Philippines injected $4.89 billion to the Philippine economy in cash remittances, making the United States the Philippines' biggest single source of remittances. Talagang naramdam namin sa Pilipinas kahit hindi tayo nagsasama na madalas, ramdam namin ang inyong pagmamahal. Hindi lamang sa inyong mga pamilya, kung hindi sa inyong bansa at sa inyong mga kababayan. So we take pride in the achievements of young Filipino Americans, including the Bay Area, Serena Bolden, who exemplified Pinay pride. She made history in the 2023 FIFA Women's World Cup as the Philippines' ever goal scorer in a soccer World Cup. We also commend the rising number of Filipino Americans in the Bay Area and Silicon Valley now active as partners in Philippine development and nation building, sharing their expertise, their experience, their resources with up-and-coming Filipino startups and innovators. I know that you all came to the United States for many different reasons, mostly economic. You sought greener pastures and better life for yourselves and for your families. But this did not stop you from giving back to your homeland, to the Philippines. Last July, I met around 300 of you who took part in the 2023 very important Pinoy or VIP tour, where the Philippine Consulate of San Francisco served as the lead coordinator. I believe that many of the VIP tour participants are also with us here tonight. So maybe could you make yourselves known? Kayo yung nakapagbisita dun sa amin. Listening to your stories during that call that we had in the Heroes Hall of Malacanang, I cannot help but feel proud of your achievements. Be grateful for all that you do that create a positive image of the Philippines and of the Filipino people in America. Mula noon hanggang ngayon, Pinatutunayan ninyo na kayo ang mga bagong bayani ng ating salinlahi. Kaya naman, sa bagong Pilipinas na ating itinataguyod, nais ng inyong pamahalaan na suklian ang inyong pagsusumikap upang bigyan ng mas magandang bukas ang ating mga anak. Since its inception in 1989, the Philippines has been an active participant in the Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation, or APEC, because we believe that the more integrated and inclusive Asia-Pacific region will bring about economic prosperity for our people. The Philippines has hosted APEC twice, once in 1996 and again in 2015, to show our country's commitment to free and fair trade in our region. I am happy to say that this year's APEC Leaders Meeting is being held now in San Francisco, the global center of high technology and innovation. We would like to attract more investments and increase foreign direct investments in the Philippines. Investments from the United States have seen an upward trend of $6.2 billion in 2022, or a 15.7% increase from 2021. In addition, California is an important trade and investment partner of the Philippines. Our country is also important to the state, as it has been the most popular destination for greenfield investment from our country. On the sidelines of the APEC meetings, my delegation will conduct business meetings in San Francisco to seek mutually beneficial exchanges and partnerships. Our presence in the Bay Area this week also supports the development of Philippine innovation ecosystem in line with the National Innovation Agenda Framework. Alam niyo po, dito sa pagbabago ng ating ekonomiya, marami tayong hinaharap na panibagong suliranin. At kami naman, tayo naman ay umaasa na ang teknolohiya ang magdadala ng mga solusyon dyan. Kaya naman, tinitignan po natin kung ano ang mga bagong dinidevelop dito sa Amerika at sa ibang lugar para tayo ay matulungan at para natin maibago at pagandahin, make more efficient, make life easier for those who are dealing in the digital world, and to increase connectivity para lahat ng ating mga kababayan, kahit na nasa malayo, nasa bundok sila na malayo, ay meron silang internet. Yan po ang ating ginagawa at marami po namang tumutulong sa atin. Ngayon, pag ating nabuo na at masasabi natin na ang karamihan ng Pilipino ay may internet na, aayusin po natin ang digitalization ng gobyerno upang ganun nga maging mas madali ang ating mga ginagawa with the government, with the private sector, and with the ordinary citizen. Energy security, especially clean energy, is also a priority of this administration. And as such, we will have business meetings by the Philippine delegation in this regard. By the end of the 4-day visit to San Francisco, we hope to have witnessed the signing of agreements with various American businesses in the fields of digital infrastructure and connectivity, renewable energy, electronics manufacturing, health, and tourism, among others. As we begin our mission here in San Francisco, I once again ask our Filipino community in the Bay Area and the Pacific Northwest for your full support as your government works to build a resilient, sustainable, and inclusive future for our people back home. Let us remain united and firm towards our common goal, so that together we will be able to leave behind a new Philippines that our children and our grandchildren deserve. Muli, magandang gabi sa inyong lahat. Maraming salamat sa inyong pagbating. Mabuhay ang mga Pilipino dito sa Amerika. Mabuhay ang Pilipinas, mabuhay ang bagong Pilipinas.
Ang Pangulo ng Republika ng Pilipinas, Ferdinand R. Marcos